I'm Eric, 36, and I used to think family traditions were unbreakable. Every December, we'd all gather at my wife's mother's big colonial house for Christmas dinner, the same way we had for years. I'd bring the mashed potatoes, my wife Jenna would bake her famous sugar cookies, and our two kids, Noah 8 and Ella 5, would run around the living room in their Christmas pajamas, squealing as they waited to open presents. It was chaotic, loud, and a little messy, but it was home. Or at least, it felt that way. Until this year. It started in mid-November, when Jenna's mom, Carol, sent her usual group text titled Christmas Dinner Planning. It was her thing, color-coded lists, sign-up sheets for side dishes, and a reminder that dinner starts at 6 sharp. Carol ran Christmas like a military operation. Everyone had a job, everyone had a dress code, and everyone was expected to behave according to her standards. Normally, I didn't mind. I just smiled, nodded, and helped wherever I could. But this year, something felt different. The message was unusually short. Just a few lines. Christmas dinner will be adults only this year. I love the kids, but they're too loud and undisciplined for a proper celebration. Let's make this year peaceful and elegant. Hope you understand. Heart emoji, Carol. At first, I honestly thought it was a joke. I read it 3 times before I turned to Jenna, who was standing in the kitchen stirring hot chocolate. She can't be serious, I said. Jenna sighed, already looking defeated. She is. I talked to her earlier. She said last year's dinner was unbearable because of the noise. Apparently, she still remembers when Ella spilled juice on her white rug. I stared at her. She was 4. Jenna nodded, her lips pressed tight. I know. That's when it hit me. Carol wasn't joking. She had officially banned our kids, her own grandchildren, from Christmas dinner. Now, I'm not the kind of guy who starts family wars over every little thing. But this got under my skin. I could feel something twist in my chest. It wasn't just about being excluded, it was about my kids. Noah and Ella had been talking about Grandma's Christmas for weeks. They'd helped me hang lights outside, drawn pictures for Carol's fridge, even picked out a small gift for her, a hand-painted ornament with "We love you, Grandma," written in crooked letters. And she didn't even want them there? When Jenna called her again to reason with her, I overheard bits of the conversation. Carol's voice came through the speakerphone, sharp and smug. Jenna, I just think it's time we brought back some sophistication. The children are wonderful, but they're not suitable for a formal dinner. You and Eric are welcome, of course. Without our kids? Jenna asked, incredulous. Well, if you insist on staying home, that's your choice, Carol replied smoothly. But everyone else has already agreed. You don't want to make things awkward, do you? I clenched my fists, but Jenna just hung up, quietly shaking her head. That's when I saw her eyes welling up. She hated confrontation, and Carol knew it. Over the next few days, things got weird. Carol started posting in the family group chat about her refined dinner plans, photos of the gold-trimmed invitations she mailed out, snippets of her menu, beef tenderloin, truffle potatoes, poached pears for dessert, and even a note that said, dress code, formal. Children under 12 are welcome at the Christmas Eve brunch instead. That brunch, by the way, was just coffee and pastries in her backyard, usually held while she prepared the real dinner, a sort of waiting area for the kids. Jenna tried to shrug it off. Let's just have our own quiet Christmas Eve with the kids, she said. Then maybe go to her dinner the next night. But I couldn't shake the bitterness. It felt wrong. Like Carol had drawn a line in the sand and expected us to bow our heads and cross it anyway. Then came the phone call that made everything worse. It was from Jenna's older sister, Lauren. She's the golden child, successful, polished, and always on Carol's side. Hey, she said casually. Mom mentioned you guys might skip dinner? Please tell me that's not true. Yeah, we're not going without the kids, I said. There was a pause. Then that patronizing tone I've always hated. Eric, it's just one evening. You can't let the kids rule your decisions. Mom's trying to make it special this year. She invited some important guests. You wouldn't want them thinking your children can't behave, right? I almost laughed. You mean like your husband who got drunk last year and broke her snow globe collection? Wow, Lauren said, her voice dripping with mock offense. That's low. Just saying, I muttered. If she's banning people for being loud and messy, maybe start there. After that, word spread fast. Jenna's brother Mike texted me, saying he didn't want to get involved, and Carol sent a final message to everyone. Please RSVP by the 10th. Seating is limited. By then, I'd made up my mind. If Carol didn't want my kids at Christmas, then she wasn't getting us either. But I wasn't going to just sit home and sulk. I had an idea. A wild one. It started small, just the thought of making Christmas special for the kids ourselves. But the more I thought about it, the more it grew. I pictured the lights, the music, the laughter, the smell of cinnamon and cookies baking in the oven. I pictured our house filled with joy, not judgment. I wanted Noah and Ella to look back and remember this Christmas as the best one yet, not the year they got left out. So I told Jenna, what if we throw our own party? Not just dinner, a real Christmas celebration. Games, food, music, everything. We'll invite whoever actually wants to be around family, not just show off for appearances. She hesitated, biting her lip. You really think people would come? I shrugged. If they care more about the people than the table settings, yeah, I do. And that's when the spark lit. Over the next week, I started planning in secret. I picked up extra string lights, found a second-hand inflatable Santa, and even rented a projector for a Christmas movie marathon in the backyard. I told Jenna's cousins, the ones with young kids who'd also been uninvited, and their reactions were instant. Wait, Carol banned kids again. One of them texted back. We're in. 100%. It was slow at first, but word started spreading. People were frustrated with Carol's attitude, and our house, our simple, cozy, messy house, started sounding like a much better option. Meanwhile, Carol was busy sending updates about her perfect dinner. She bragged about hiring a pianist, renting fine china, even commissioning custom name cards. Her messages grew increasingly smug, almost taunting. I swear she wanted us to feel jealous. By December 20th, our living room was a whirlwind of glitter, wrapping paper, and half-inflated decorations. Noah and Ella were helping me hang tinsel, and Jenna was mixing cookie dough with Christmas music playing in the background. I could see her smile coming back, a real one this time. For the first time all month, our house felt warm again. But then, Carol called. Eric, she said in that overly polite tone. I just wanted to confirm that you and Jenna won't be attending dinner. It's quite rude not to respond. I took a deep breath. We're hosting our own Christmas at home this year. The kids are excited. There was a pause. A cold one. Then, oh, I see. You're welcome to come, of course, I added, though I already knew her answer. I'll pass, she said curtly. I prefer to celebrate with a little more decorum. When she hung up, I caught my reflection in the window. I looked calm, but my mind was racing. I had no idea that what I'd just set in motion would turn the entire family upside down, or that by the end of that night, everyone would be talking about our Christmas instead of hers. And as for Carol, she wouldn't take that lightly. Because when the guests started showing up at our house instead of hers, she showed up too. And what she brought with her was something I never expected. The day before Christmas Eve, I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing like crazy on the nightstand. Dozens of notifications, texts, missed calls, even a few Facebook messages. At first, I thought something had gone wrong with our party plans. But when I scrolled through the messages, I realized it wasn't that. Carol had gone full PR mode. She'd posted a long, elegant Facebook update with a photo of her pristine dining room, captioned, "Feeling grateful for a peaceful, grown-up Christmas this year. Sometimes it's okay to set boundaries and create the celebration you truly deserve." The comments were filled with her friends fawning over her. So elegant. Love this idea. Kids' energy is lovely, but adults need space too. Finally, someone said it. I could practically hear her smug tone in every word. She wanted everyone to know she was in control, that she wasn't being petty, she was being graceful. But underneath all that, I knew exactly what she was doing. She was isolating us, making us look like the ones who overreacted. Jenna saw it too. She read the post 3 times and then just sat there in silence, clutching her coffee mug. She's turning it into a statement, she said quietly, like she's some kind of martyr for elegance. I squeezed her shoulder. Let her have her moment. We'll have ours tomorrow. But the thing about Carol is that she never stops at one layer of manipulation. Around noon, she sent a group text to the entire family again, including us. Friendly reminder for tomorrow's dinner. Can't wait to see everyone dressed to the nines. If anyone's bringing a guest, please let me know in advance so we can arrange proper seating. Then, almost as an afterthought, Jenna, darling, I've arranged for the children's gifts to be dropped off in the foyer tomorrow morning. No need for them to attend, of course, but I didn't want them to feel forgotten. The way she phrased it made my skin crawl, like she was tossing scraps to make herself look generous. I replied, "Appreciate it, Carol, but the kids are fine. They're excited about our own celebration." 2 minutes later, she replied, "Oh, how lovely. I do hope it doesn't feel like competition. Christmas isn't about that, dear." That was when I realized she knew exactly what she was doing. She'd heard about our party, probably from Lauren, and she was trying to plant the idea that we were being petty. Jenna spent the rest of the afternoon decorating cookies with the kids, but I could see she was struggling. Carol had that effect on her, a way of making her second-guess every decision. Later that night, I caught Noah sitting by the window, watching the snow fall. "Dad," he asked softly, "why doesn't Grandma want us there this year? Did we do something bad?" That question hit me harder than I expected. I crouched next to him and put a hand on his shoulder. "No, buddy, you didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes grown-ups forget what Christmas is supposed to be about. But that's why we're doing our own party, so we can remind them." He nodded slowly, but I could tell he didn't really understand. How could he? He was 8. All he knew was that his grandma didn't want him at Christmas dinner. The next day, Christmas Eve, Carol's house became the talk of the family group chat. Photos started trickling in: crystal wine glasses, gold napkins, matching red dresses. Lauren, of course, was at the center of it all, posting selfies with captions like "family elegance." Jenna tried to ignore it, but her phone kept lighting up. Then her cousin Tasha messaged her privately, "Hey, are you serious about your Christmas party tomorrow? 'Cause if you are, we'd rather come to yours." My kids cried when Mom told them they weren't invited to Grandma's. That message was the first of many. Over the next few hours, more family members started reaching out quietly. Cousins, even one of Carol's sisters. "Honestly, Carol's being ridiculous," one wrote. "I'll bring dessert if we can come." It was subtle at first, but I could feel a shift happening. People were starting to realize how absurd the whole "no kids" thing was. Carol had pushed too far. But then, she doubled down. At around 8 p.m., we got another message, this time from Lauren. "Mom wants everyone to know she's hosting a secret Santa exchange after dinner tomorrow. So if you're not coming, please let her know now. She doesn't want empty spots in the circle." There was that word again, empty. It stung. Like our absence wasn't about family. It was about keeping up appearances. I stared at my phone for a long time before responding. "We won't be there. Have a great dinner." Lauren replied with a single thumbs-up emoji. Cold. Passive-aggressive. Exactly what I expected. That night, I stayed up late finishing the decorations. I wanted everything perfect, not fancy, just warm. The house smelled like cinnamon and pine. I strung lights around the windows, set up the projector in the backyard for Home Alone, and even hung a handmade sign on the front door. "Merry Chaos Moss. Loud Kids Welcome." Jenna laughed when she saw it. "You're really leaning into this, huh?" "Someone has to," I said. "Let's show them what joy looks like." By the time morning came, our house was buzzing. The first guests arrived around 10, Tasha, her husband, and their 2 little boys. They brought hot cocoa, matching reindeer sweaters, and enough laughter to fill the whole living room. Then more cars pulled up. Aunts, uncles, cousins, even a few of Carol's friends who claimed they were just dropping by for a bit. Before I knew it, our small Christmas idea had turned into something bigger. Kids running around with candy canes, adults laughing in the kitchen, music playing through the speakers. It wasn't quiet, but it was perfect. Jenna looked at me, her eyes misty. "She's going to find out," she whispered. "I hope she does," I said. "Maybe she'll remember what family actually means." And then, right around 3 p.m., she did find out. Lauren called Jenna first. I only heard Jenna's side of the conversation, but it was enough to paint the picture. "What do you mean everyone left?" Jenna said, eyes wide. "No, we didn't invite them away." She paused, listening. "Yes, Mom knew we weren't coming." "No, she wasn't excluded. She excluded the kids." I could hear faint shouting through the speaker. Carol's voice, sharp and brittle. Then Jenna's shoulders slumped. Fine, Mom. You do whatever you need to do." When she hung up, she looked at me. Carol's furious. Apparently half the family left her house after dinner started and came here. She's saying we stole Christmas. I blinked. Stole Christmas? What is she, the Grinch? Jenna didn't laugh. "Eric, she's coming here." And that's when the energy in the house shifted. People were still laughing, the kids were still playing, but I could feel this invisible weight pressing down on the air. I looked out the window and saw Carol's silver Lexus pulling up to the curb, headlights cutting through the falling snow. She stepped out wearing a red wool coat and white gloves, her hair immaculate despite the weather. In one hand, she carried a perfectly wrapped gift box. In the other, a small envelope. Her jaw was tight, her smile thin. Jenna froze by the door. "Oh no," she whispered. I swallowed hard. Let her in. I didn't know what she was bringing. An apology, an ultimatum, or something worse. But the second she walked through that door, with every eye turning toward her, I knew this Christmas was about to become something none of us would ever forget. And when she opened that envelope in front of everyone, I realized it wasn't just about dinner anymore. Carol had something else planned, something that would change everything. Carol didn't just walk in, she arrived. Like a queen returning to her throne after a coup. Her heels clicked on the hardwood floor as every conversation in the room died down. The music still played faintly in the background. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. But the irony of the lyrics hung thick in the air. Jenna froze near the kitchen doorway, clutching a mug of hot cocoa like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. The kids peeked out from behind the couch, curious. Tasha's husband instinctively lowered the volume on the TV, and I swear even the dog went quiet. Carol looked around slowly, surveying the chaos she so clearly disapproved of. Wrapping paper on the floor, half-decorated gingerbread houses on the table, kids in reindeer pajamas chasing each other. Her lips pressed into that polite little smile she used when she was seething. "Well," she said finally, setting her purse down on the counter. "This is quite something." I kept my tone calm. "Merry Christmas, Carol." She turned to me, her eyes sharp but glimmering. "Oh, Eric, you really went all out. I must say, it's impressive how quickly you managed to organize all this." There was a pause before she added, "Especially considering I wasn't informed you'd be hosting Christmas this year." I met her stare. "You weren't informed because we weren't planning to compete with your dinner. We just wanted to celebrate with our kids." Her smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened. "Celebrate with your kids." "Yes, I've heard." Apparently, the entire family interpreted that as an invitation to abandon me. Lauren had followed her in, trailing behind like a shadow, her phone in hand as if she were documenting the moment. She gave Jenna a look that was equal parts pity and judgment. "Mom's really upset," she said softly, like she was breaking bad news. "You should have called her, Jen. She didn't deserve to be blindsided like this." Jenna's voice cracked. "Blindsided? She banned my kids from Christmas dinner, Lauren. What did you expect us to do? Drop them off at a kennel?" The room went tense. Even Carol blinked, just once, before regaining her composure. "Let's not be dramatic," she said smoothly. "I made a simple decision to have a quiet, elegant evening. I didn't ban anyone. I just wanted some peace." I stepped in. "You literally wrote that our kids were too loud and undisciplined for a proper celebration." Carol sighed like I was being unreasonable. "And look at them now," she said, gesturing vaguely toward the living room where the children were whispering and watching the adults. Running wild, interrupting conversations. "Eric, it's not about love, it's about respect. Something your side of the family never quite grasped." That hit like a punch. I saw Jenna flinch. Carol had a way of dressing up cruelty in soft words, like she was doing us a favor by being honest. But what happened next? That was when things turned from insult to betrayal. Carol reached into her coat pocket and pulled out the envelope she'd been holding earlier. She turned to Jenna with that same cool smile. "I came to bring you this," she said. "Since you've chosen to go your own way this Christmas, I thought it best to make things official." Jenna hesitated, then took the envelope. Inside was a cream-colored letter printed on fancy stationery, Carol's signature at the bottom. I could tell from Jenna's face that it wasn't good. Her eyes widened, then filled with tears. "What is this?" she whispered. Carol clasped her hands. "It's just some necessary adjustments. Since you and Eric have decided not to participate in the family Christmas, I've decided to redistribute the holiday fund." "The what?" I asked. She gave me a prim smile. "Every year, I set aside a sum of money for the grandkids, for their education, future gifts, that sort of thing. It's something I've done since Lauren's oldest was born. You know that." I didn't know that. Every year, Carol contributed a small savings bond to each grandchild's account. She loved reminding everyone of her generosity. It was one of the few things I respected about her until now. "Well," she continued, "given the circumstances, I've decided to reallocate Noah and Ella's shares." I just don't feel comfortable rewarding such disrespectful behavior. From their parents, of course. The room went dead silent. Jenna's voice trembled. You took away their college fund? Carol blinked innocently. Oh, don't be dramatic. It's not a college fund, it's a Christmas fund. They'll have plenty of opportunities in life, I'm sure. But it wouldn't be fair to the others, would it? Not when they're the only ones whose parents couldn't follow a simple rule. That was it. The line that snapped something inside me. I stepped forward. You're punishing kids because they didn't attend your dinner? I'm setting boundaries, she said calmly. Actions have consequences. Boundaries are one thing, I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. Emotional blackmail is another. You're hurting your grandkids because you can't stand not being in control. Carol's eyes narrowed just slightly. You always were ungrateful, Eric. From the very beginning, I warned Jenna that marrying you would bring drama into this family. And now look. She gestured around the room again, at the laughter, the mess, the happiness she couldn't understand. Chaos. Absolute chaos. Jenna's cousin Tasha finally spoke up. Carol, that's enough. You're the one who caused this. You told half the family their kids weren't welcome. You can't just. Carol cut her off sharply. Don't lecture me about family, Tasha. You weren't even invited to dinner this year for a reason. Tasha's jaw dropped, but before she could respond, Carol turned her attention back to Jenna, her tone suddenly soft.